There are certain things that people do that prevent them from climbing as strongly as possible. Let's run down the list and I'll offer some solutions. Number one, not believing. Let's say you climb V5 and you're presented with V7. You can't just automatically assume that you can't do it. That thinking softens your willingness and ability to try hard, making your climbing prowess drop way down. If presented with a boulder that's harder than your usual, your thinking should be, can I do half of it? Because if you take a V7 and you split it in half, it turns into like a V5 into a V3, or a V4 into a V4, or a V6 into a V1, or a V7 into a V1. You break it down this way and all suddenly you could do V5s, you could do V4s, you could do V3s, you could do V2s and 1s and 0s. And it makes it a lot more manageable. Come on, let me tell you the secret formula. You take your max climbing grade and then you add 2 to it. More often than not, you could probably do half of whatever that number comes up to. Now, it may not be the crux move, and it may not all be in one smooth sequencing, but more often than not, you could do like around half the moves. But if it's only a boulder with like 3 moves, you probably won't be able to do it. This is more so for boulders that have like 5 to 10 plus moves. Slightly weird to think about it this way, but there's really no one policing you, preventing you from doing said or so problem or trying said so problem except you. 2, being weak. Generally speaking, if you can't do 10 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, hang off the hangboard with your legs off the ground, you have a problem. Call you're weak. You need to build up a foundation of strength because right now you're standing on nothing. Don't cover up your physical weakness by saying climbing is more about strength. It's both. Do both. You get the most benefits from doing both. You don't gotta do both of them evenly, but if one rises, the other one should also rise. Don't get stuck in the trap of, well, when I started climbing, I couldn't do any pull-ups. 3 months later, I could do 10 pull-ups. But you forgot the second half of that story where you plateau at V5 for like the rest of your life. 3. Too lazy. Most people have a lifetime goal of climbing V10. However, they don't do anything about it. It's like they believe if time passes that eventually they will just get there. But no. It just doesn't work that way. If you've been climbing V5 for the last year, you're going to be climbing V5 for the rest of your life. You have built a habit of not progressing, but believing you are just because you show up to the gym 3 times a week. What is the point of having perfect attendance if every single year you flunk the class? You have to take your goal, break it down to smaller goals, and then hit those goals. Let me show you a quick timeline just to show you what I mean. July 22nd, 2022, some V4 I did, yay. August 14, 2022, best V5. I was super stoked to have gotten this boulder. It was the exact moment that I realized I like outdoor climbing. I have never felt such joy topping out a boulder before. It was excellent. September 18, 2022, my first V7 after projecting for like 45 hours. I was fully ready to be there till my tendons totally snapped on me. October 27, 2022, the hardest boulder I've ever climbed to date. Midget Sit V7. I remember specifically for this boulder I did full crimp training. November 23rd, 2022, El Taco V8. It was an easy V8, but we take those. This is probably one of the most 3D climbs I've ever climbed. March 18th, 2023, my new hardest boulder I've ever done. Took me like 5 to 6 sessions, and I did it on my last go of the day. Yay, yay, it clocks in at like V8, V9. March 22nd, 2023, I did my first 1-arm pull-up after dieting down a bit and losing some weight. Something I thought I never would be able to do, but I did. April 14th, 2023, I did my first V10 after projecting this V10 for approximately 10 sessions straight and doing no other problems. Got it. And thus this became my new hardest boulder problem at the time. April 26, 2023, I finally got my long-term outdoor project called Oxygen Cocktail. It was a grueling 6 to 7 sessions just working on this one line throughout the course of like 6-7 months. And thus this became my hardest outdoor climb to date. May 25th, 2023, my first outdoor V10 took me a grueling 6 to 7 sessions. I was quite proud of this line because I made the crux, not a crux, with new beta. Yay. June 24th, 2023, 20 millimeter hang with 165 pounds added to my body weight at the time, which was 148 pounds. My fingers were so strong back then, and they have never been so strong since. What a bummer. November 4th, 2023, the hardest climb I've ever done in my entire life, Cave Traverse Reverse V10. Luckily, this one only took me 3 to 4 sessions, but it was super power endurance in my style, and plus I already touched that rock like 100 times already. November 6th, 2023, I finally got my 147 for the first time. I am getting stronger. Yeah. Now, do you see this timeline of mine? It may not be the fastest progression, but if you take a step back, you see the clear trajectory that it's heading. And if your timeline isn't filled with hardest boulder I've ever done a lot of, then your timeline is sorely lacking. 4. Unrealized potential. How many tries do you give a move before you move on? Better yet, how many sessions do you give a move before you move on? I have a story. I call it Sadness and Sorrow. I have a boulder that I'm working on. I call it Humpty Hump V10. So far, I have dropped approximately 14 sessions on it, and I still haven't done the last move yet. But do I believe I've tried as hard as I possibly could? And do I believe I have exhausted all my options? Nah, not even close. I haven't tried the option known as session 15 yet. I haven't tried the option known as session 16, or the trump card known as session 17, or I activated my trap card known as session 18, or I haven't brought in my partner known as session 19, and so on and so forth. I haven't tried out all my options yet, so in my humble true opinion, I think it's a tad bit too early to call it quits. And just between you and me, partner, I feel like quitting on a boulder is like quitting on an opportunity to become better. You have so much more better climbing within you if you only pursue it. 5. More effort. As obvious as this sounds, feelings of effort don't always result in progression. There tends to be a trend the longer you've been climbing. You get complacent in the amount of effort you put in. Yesterday you were climbing V2 and now today you're climbing V4. While V2 type of energy and effort got you to V4, in accordance to the laws of RPG, you have to put forth more effort if you wish to level up. If you're like, I don't know why I'm not getting any better, I didn't change a thing, well, that's the problem. You didn't change a thing. 6. Perspective. I hate to be the bearer of honesty, but indoor grades, specifically V1 to V5, are made so that the common climber can feel a great sense of progression within a small amount of time without putting forth exactly the largest amount of tremendous effort. And this is indeed great for building adherence and fun and whatnot, but it's just not reality. You ever watch a show or anime or play a game and the protagonist meets the boss in the starting area and he realizes how far he has to go? Go climb outdoors. Discover the origin where the plastic comes from. I know for me, I thought I was a pretty solid V7 climber indoors. I went climbing outdoors and turns out my V7 indoors translated into a V4 outdoors. And then I think this is one of the best parts. When you finally send a boulder outdoors like a V3, you have to quickly realize that the scale goes all the way up to V17. It really hits you with some perspective, slightly. Helps you understand that indoor climbing is like climbing on slightly easy mode and the rest is just the reality. And with that perspective of grading difficulty, you should really adjust your timeline and goals accordingly. Honestly, have indoor goals and outdoor goals and separate it to its own category in that sense. Of course, they do start to align at around the V8, V9, V10 mark and higher, but for that lower end range, like V0 to V5, there's a big discrepancy in terms of difficulty. Well, that was the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, partner.